All right, welcome to Talking Investing, aka Bitcoin and Bitcoin Miners Central. Big day. We got George with us.
Hello.
The gang is here. Welcome everybody. Gary,
Hello.
JD, W Song. Welcome Eric, and also a special welcome to two new members. Adam, thank you very much, and welcome to the squad. And Ed,
Hello.
thank you very much, and welcome.
And we want to also thank Mr. Diamond for his comments because obviously they really affected the market as he had the biggest smile ever as he said that.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
at that little pump, huh? What's going on, Tom?
That's more than little. We were totally sideways all day, and then bam. Hello, Martin. Hey, Raul, Steve.
So a week ago, I doubled my position on this stream in CleanSpark.
Gorilla. What a beautiful
Should I
day.
sell it this time? That's my question.
No, because Eric says
basically-
CleanSpark is still too cheap, and Max
Basically is at the same. of what I
Maxim
got it
says
for.
such a good price for CleanSpark.
I know it doesn't make any sense.
So George bought it on the stream last Friday. I bought some today, and that wasn't the first day this week because whatever they're doing with CleanSpark, it's gotta end sooner than later. In my opinion, by the time their next monthly report comes out, I mean,
It seemed like it got up to 3 something here a day or two ago or something like that.
in the middle it was way over $3. Here, let's go to the let's go to the
oh, hang on. I got a business call. I'm doing business.
All right, while George is doing that, I'm going to press the button. If everybody can please smash the like button, I would appreciate it. It helps the live stream. It helps get more people here with us on the live stream. So thank you very much. Darren saying CleanSpark is still a bargain. Alex, good afternoon. Darren, good afternoon. Tim is saying, did you see CleanSpark didn't disclose their outstanding share count in the filing on 113? They used shares outstanding. What even is that? What are they hiding? Already over 100 million shares, perhaps? Well, I think that's why if anybody has a document showing how many shares they've issued and how many are currently outstanding right now, I know they're issuing shares. I mean, they've made big purchases. They're building another 50 megawatt facility. But by the same token, they're at 6.5 exahash. That's going to get them to 8.7 exahash. So I think even with all of that said, to me, I'm still buying CleanSpark regardless of whatever dilution they may be going through to get to where they're going. They're going, in my opinion, to a very good place at the moment. And operationally, they've been spectacular, really, for the last year. So, and they had by far the least amount of shares outstanding, out of all the miners. So, yeah, they definitely have used dilution to get a part of the way to where they're going. And I don't want them to go crazy. That's why, 16 exahash, let's wait and see what happens. This is a nice run in Bitcoin, so if it stays up like this and moves from 22 to 25 to 30, then I would be more excited about. And it would be better if CleanSpark shares would get back up to $4, $5, $6. I mean, so to George's point, just a few days ago, CleanSpark was at $3.03. So that was the peak.
Ooh, I think it was Peter last week that said, Bitcoin's going to 30. Wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, somebody last week called 30.
Yeah, Peter. Yeah.
CleanSpark doesn't have the options and the volume Marathon does. Says Raul. Raul, nobody has the volume Marathon does. Marathon has a staggering amount of volume. It's not they're number one and it's not even close. I'll tell you what, you make a good point though. What I don't like about CleanSpark is their options are $2.50, $5, and $7.50. Those spreads are too large. They're too far apart, and it makes it very much less attractive to buy or sell their options, in my opinion. So I almost never mess with CleanSpark options. I buy the stock. There's other companies. You know, Hut would be an extreme example on the other end. They have weekly options, and they have them like every 50 cents or $1, and Bitcoin's Bitfarms is every 50 cents. Marathon has a monumental amount of options and huge volume. So, but yeah, I mean, a couple of people have been talking about that, and I did point that out in one of my last few videos. Marathon is by far the popular stock. Maybe not amongst this crowd, which is the in the know crowd, but for the general investing community in its entirety, there is no doubt Marathon is the stock they know. If they're trading a Bitcoin miner, it seems to be Marathon. Riot also has a very large volume, but it's nothing compared to Marathon's. Raul saying Hut and Marathon are at 1 year high. I don't know if you mean volume or price. CleanSpark wasting money on CapEx, says Patient Bill. So Patient Bill does not want CleanSpark to continue to expand. They want them to stay where they are. Let's see. Eric said CleanSpark from 65 million to 71 million this week in shares. But they invested it well. So, okay, so they're at 71 million in shares. So, I mean, that's still very low. Yeah, they've done a bunch of dilution. There's just no way around it. But as long as they spend it on the right, you know, either Patient Bill feels like it's not time to spend CapEx money. So I understand that line of reasoning. So far, CleanSpark has gotten away with doing a good job of spending their money wisely.
Wait. Did you just say CleanSpark is spending their money wisely?
That's what I said.
Compensation? Don't you remember this problem?
Oh, bruh. Not you two.
Jeez. Anybody that makes more money than me gets paid too much. You know that theory, right?
First of all, their compensation is mostly in stock. So there's no cash happening there. So because this is all about, right now, the Bitcoin miner industry is all about cash. And I get a lot of people that leave a lot of comments, and they're very upset that I'm looking at things on a cash basis. But you got to understand, this is a crypto winter, and yeah, we're having a nice relief rally. Maybe it's the end of the crypto winter, and we're about to enter a bull market. But for the last 10 months, the number one thing that these companies has to worry about has been running out of money and going out of business. So yeah, everything is cash right now, and cash is king. That's the oldest saying in the book in business, and it's never more true than in a crypto winter type environment when, you know, Bitcoin went from $69,000 down to $15,000. So, you know, a lot of these companies, I did a cost per coin analysis. A lot of these companies have no margin. And, you know, there's a few actually that have really good cost per coin, and they still were making good money at 16, 17,000. But other companies, it wasn't even worth turning their machines on. So, you know, it's all about cash right now.
You know what? It's all about the cheddar.
I guess it's always all about the cash.
It always is. I mean, especially if you want to stay in business.
Right, especially in these. Don't forget to like, and if you haven't subscribed, if you can subscribe to the channel, please. We appreciate it. We're growing, and it's all because of you.
And it's all crypto, almost, a.k.a. only Bitcoin, but not really. There are all other coins that we like to talk about. Me specifically, XRP.
We're going to be definitely broadening our horizons. George and I talked about the fact I got to get my XRP video out, and then it's probably going to be a series of videos. And
we're going to start doing a coin a week, by the way. That's our thing. Top 50 coins. We're really going to do a deep dive into the coin and how it works and why it's important.
Glad to see Bitfarms is safe above $1, said Gorilla. You know, they're back above $1. Unfortunately, they did have one day in the middle where they closed below $1.
Oh, did they? So it starts over.
So today's day one. They're back above $1, but Yeah, I mean, if you miss one day, the clock starts ticking over. I'm not worried. I mean, they were down at 35 or 40 cents and people were panicking, but
Did you see? All they have to do is plug in some freaking computers and they get more money, Tom. Nothing to do with share price or fundamental. Bonus for every 0.5 exahash. Come on, Tom.
that for those of you who don't like CleanSpark's compensation,
Come on, Tom.
you are not alone. There's a big group of people. I am not one of them. And if I were you, this is not financial advice. But if you think that their compensation is too much, then I would not invest in them.
I have almost all my money in CleanSpark right now.
I want my C-suite. I want my executives to get rich. If the company succeeds,
they get rich, right, I get rich.
That's how this works for me. So I don't. It's not. None of this is big money, right? I mean, these things should be potentially, CleanSpark should be, when they're done, they're targeting to be a multi-billion-dollar market cap company. So they're sitting here at about $180 million market cap. Their officers are making a few $1 million. That's a rounding error. I know that frustrates a lot. It's not for me in my personal life. It's not, but we can't judge that by our personal lives, right? It's by business standards, by Fortune 500 companies, this is a publicly traded company. This is a small cap, high growth industry, and they need execution. It's not just plugging machines in. They need that exahash. Look how it translated. They're mining multiples more Bitcoin than they were 3 months ago, 6 months ago, a year ago. And that's how, at Bitcoin 16,000, that doesn't seem like a big deal. But, wait till Bitcoin gets to 30,000 and they're mining 800 of them. I think people are going to feel a little better about their compensation at that point. But listen, everybody's entitled to their opinion. A lot of investors, a big sticking point is management compensation. It is not for me. Now, if it's cash, if they were paying themselves $15 million in cash and none of it was stock, then I'd say, whoa. Their interests don't align with my interests. But as long as they hold the stock, we have the same interests. So I want them invested.
Yeah. What do you think caused this little uptick in Bitcoin?
I'll show
that time. Is it that time?
Well, here is what I think, and I've been saying this in every video for a while. So today it happened, and the second it happened, we were off to the races. So let me go to the 15-minute chart. This line right here. So anybody who's been watching the channel knows I've been talking about this line for months and months and months. 21,478. So that has been, right, it bumped in and it was resistance here. These are 15-minute candles. So like this did not even hold for 15-minute candles. Here, 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 here. The second it broke through, bam. My next line was at 22,432 and it got to 22,456. So like that's trade. Bitcoin hasn't traded on its technicals in a long time. This was like textbook, in my opinion. So, it finally happened. The problem is we've been here 6 or 7 or 8 times.
Is this based on the Fibonacci?
Actually, this line is very, very close to a Fibonacci line. This is virtually parallel to one of the Fibonacci lines. So yes, once it broke through that, and this is really below the next Fibonacci line, so there's actually even more room to run. But I had, for me, I got to go on a larger time scale.
Fibonacci.
For me, this purple line, and again, some of this is an art more than a science. So as everybody does their own charts and graphs, these numbers aren't going to be identical, but you can see about on August 4th, Bitcoin had a bottom. It ran up, hit its high. This was the high since really it bottomed out on the flash crash. So this bottom and this top, because you can see on the daily, only candle wicks above this. So to me, this seemed like support that turned into resistance right here. So that was the line I've been waiting to recapture. And we now have, this was the previous high, and this was right before FTX. So we now have technically a higher high, but I'm really looking to take out this before I say we were, anything up to this point to me is a relief rally. Anything beyond this point, and we could start considering, are we back in a bull market? But I still think all the way up to, 25-ish, this is still a relief rally. But just so that everybody knows, I mean, this has been a heck of a relief rally. We're up, as of right this minute, 44% from the bottom 2 months ago. So, I mean, now, granted, most of that was just getting right back to where we were because we had that gigantic crash on the FTX situation. So this was November 8th and 9th. We crashed down to 15.5-ish. We bounced off of that again. We went sideways. Really, from here for 2 months, we just went sideways. And you can see the fight we had. I had two blue lines. The other blue line that we fought with from November 30th. I mean, we were crawling either on the top or the bottom of this line for over a month. And then as soon as we broke out, we ran up to this line and we fought here not very long, a week. And now we've broken out. So, that doesn't mean, listen, we could have we all remember, here's 5 horrible red candles in a row. Here's the 2 gigantic FTX candles. So, these could reverse at any time. Look at, this was a classic example. Our September rally, it was a vicious 5-day rally right up to this purple line, and then bang, it hit a brick wall and down we went. So you don't know where we go next. I'm hoping I hope we have another 1 or 2 legs left. Well, we just took 1 leg left of this relief rally. The second one would be up to 25,000. George's price target is what, George?
23.5 right now.
So George has been saying that for some time. He thinks we're going to run to 23.
But I'm not, just so you guys know, I forgot who it was, Sour Melon. He was thanking you, by the way, Tom. He was thanking you. He's like, I would have been out of these miners, but I stuck with it because you had so much conviction.
Well, I'm glad.
I told him, but he's like, it ain't happening. He's like, there's no way it's going to 8K.
Oh, to 8. But you still think that it is.
I think it's still going to have a very sizable push down. I just don't know what that push is going to be at this point in time. The only thing I can tell you is right now it's looking like we're going to get 23.5.
23.5 was the call you made. You've been sticking to it.
That was been a few weeks now, too.
We
were going down. I didn't go like
we were under 20 when you made that call.
Yeah.
So
I feel pretty confident in that one.
I mean,
especially when people are saying that it's terrible. I think it's a dead cat bounce personally, and I don't think it can bounce too much higher than 23.5.
So I mean, that's kind of right. That's right in the middle. I think the best case scenario is a run all the way up to 25. But it just did hit my price target for this relief rally. So
it's been interesting, Tom, and I'll tell you. The other thing is this. At this level, Bitcoin's not broken. And I think that's what I like seeing. And that's a big, 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 big improvement.
And you're saying explain what you mean by that. I think I know what you're saying, but.
So your cost per coin, you're making money.
Right.
If you're not making money, you're not making sense. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, and that was your point down at 15 and 16,000 is the Bitcoin's kind of on the verge of being broken here because, miners have trouble making money at that level. But up around 22,000, that's a different story. Now, there was just a gigantic increase in the difficulty level. So, we'll see we'll see how that affects everybody. But still, it does not, it doesn't offset this gigantic run up that we've had. I mean, we're up $5,000. So that's huge. So that's every time they mine a Bitcoin, they get an extra $5,000. That's massive.
Well, and it seems like something else is going on right now this week that would cause some stir in a instrument of value with like a lot of rich people would be at.
Oh,
Don't know what that is.
You're talking about a certain meeting that they're having somewhere?
Meeting, yeah. That only, I didn't see anybody there representing Bitcoin, but I did see somebody there representing XRP.
An XRP rep was at the conference.
The conference. We will not say the name of the conference.
Gary is saying need to keep buying miners before they increase in cost. Yeah, I mean they're giving miners away right now, so that is and
Tom,
there's people that think they're going to keep going down.
A year from now with the hash rate? I mean, with the difficulty. Do you think that this is just the way it's going to be, or do you think that Bitcoin is going to go way up because of the difficulty is going to go also way up when we do the halving?
Well, those are two things that are going to go on. So the difficulty level will continue to increase if companies continue to add machines. And it looks like if you look at, there were 7 or 8 Bitcoin miners at January 1st, 2022, so a year ago, that had very big plans. I'm going to do a chart this week of what everybody's stated goal was on the first of the year and where they ended up at the end of the year. And you're going to see 7 or 8 of them, fell anywhere from 70% short to 99.9% short of their objective. However, a bunch of other ones continue to add exahash, and the worldwide hash rate continues to increase, and the difficulty is a function of the worldwide hash rate. It's not a one-to-one function because there is luck involved, but I expect Bitcoin mining machines to continue to be added to the network. I expect the worldwide hash rate to continue to go up on a consistent basis, and so that's one thing that changes the difficulty level. So then on top of that, so not only is it harder to mine a Bitcoin, but when the halving happens, your reward for doing so is cut in half. So that's a double whammy. You see what I'm saying? It gets harder to even mine the block.
Right.
And then you only get a reward of half of what you did. You get 3.25 Bitcoin for a block now. Not now, but at the next halving instead of 6.5. So
that puts a lot of upward pressure on Bitcoin.
So in other words, right, that's why I've been saying all these predictions, Plan B came out and he's like, well, it's just very frustrating. He's like, well, it looks like, I feel confident Bitcoin's going to be at 32,000 by the next halving. It's like, well, you felt confident Bitcoin was going to be at 150,000 a year ago, number one. And number two, Bitcoin don't work at 32,000 at the halving. So if it's at 32,000 at the halving, most of these miners are going to be gone. That's all I can tell you. So that doesn't mean, I don't know what the price is going to be, but one of those two things is going to happen. Either Bitcoin's going to get above that so these miners can make money, or these miners will lose money. By the halving, they will lose money per coin at 32,000. So
yeah, that's great. I mean, as far as an instrument or a sort of value, that would actually tend to lead me to the idea that that's good. You know what I mean?
That what?
That the halving's coming. The halving isn't a bad thing.
Oh, the halving
is a great thing.
The halving has always been a gigantic catalyst for a huge increase in the price of Bitcoin. So this last one was the smallest. This giant run we had up to 69,000. That's by far, as a percentage, that was by far the smallest run we've ever had after a halving. But
right.
Having said that, we got from the previous halving, the high was 20,000, and this time it got to about 70,000. So, after the next halving, even if it only doubled, it would be 140,000. If it tripled, it would be...
So what is normal that it would normally do after the halving?
It's been going on a decreasing, when Bitcoin was $100, it's a lot easier to go up 1,000%. When Bitcoin's $20,000, you don't get that same, but I mean, anything less than a double would be a double from the previous high is what I'm talking about.
Oh,
so
okay.
that's 70,000. So that puts you at 140,000. And that doesn't mean it's going to go to 140,000 the day the halving occurs. In my opinion, a reasonable price target between sometime after the day of the halving and sometime within the next year and a half, I think 140,000 is a reasonable price target. So, you know, that gets you somewhere in the middle of 2025. And who knows? It could be more than that. Of course, it could fail and be less. But if it's 32,000, not only are all, you know, nobody made any money. It's 22,000 right now.
Yeah, I still think that, you know, as we move forward, people still have to sell some of their Bitcoins to pay for their operations and then hold the rest. So when do you stop expanding? When should CleanSpark stop expanding? I mean, are they just trying to get to a point where they're x of hash array, x a hasha is where they're competitive, or is it that they want to dominate?
They want to be, they stated over a year ago, they stated, we want to be a top 5 Bitcoin mining company. And at that time, they were not even close. So they are right now. They are solidly in the top 5. But they want to get to 16 exahash. And they actually reduced that. They were looking to get to 22.4 exahash. And then they dialed it back at their last report and said, look, we're going to go to 16. But, you know, at that time, they were at 6.2. That's adding 10 exahash. I think that's... So for me personally, I don't care if they get to 16. If they get whatever they get, you know, if they get to 10, 12, 13, those are all a home run. That's still going to put them in the top 5. And it's more important to me that they continue to grow on a steady basis, manage their risk, because there's still risk, right? We can feel good for one day that we just ran up to 22,000, but let's not forget 2 weeks ago, we were at 17,000. So who knows where we're going to be 2 weeks from now. So, you know, Patient Bill brought this up a while back. He thinks it's a little too soon to start spending money on CapEx. So, you know, my feeling is, you know, slow and steady wins the race. They do not need to get from 6 to 16 exahash. Although that's what they said they were going to do. And last year they did more than they said they were going to do. They're the only Bitcoin miner that exceeded their stated goal out of the 18 Bitcoin miners that I look at.
Do you honestly feel that GRI is still in bad problems?
I do. Let's take a look at GRI. And because GRI has gone ballistic, and to me, I don't know why. The one thing I'll say is that it's a tiny market cap. So this doesn't look like much, but I'm going to do the chart here and you're going to see. But first I want to go show you. One of the things is after this gigantic run, which I'm about to show you, this is still only a $41 million market cap company. So this is a small company. I mean, this is a tiny, this has already been priced. This stock's down 99 point something percent. So this has already been priced to go out of business. So for that reason, maybe they're having a big run. But if you look at this run, this was December 28th. So call that 3 weeks ago. To now, they're up 320%. By the way, if you sold them at the peak, they were up 526%. That was in 2 weeks. So it's 3 weeks later. They're now up over 300%. I'm staying away from them. Congratulations to anybody that caught any or all of that run. That's the thing with these stocks that are in trouble. They can be very good trading stocks. They can be the best trading stocks. So I don't do a lot of day trading. I do some swing trading, mostly with options. But if you're a day trader, like, this is a dream, because this could very well just keep going up and down and up and down. And Core Scientific is the same way. You know, that had a gigantic run up. It had a big run down. And, you know, we'll see. And there's 3 or 4 more. Argo Blockchain, I think now, they're at $1.73. They were at... Where did they get down to? They got down to 33 cents. So, and again, this was 1 month ago. So they're up 400%. But the thing is, I don't see them swinging back down because they did have a dramatic change in their business structure. So they were essentially had already put out a note. Like, if XYZ doesn't happen, we're filing Chapter 11. So this was down to A or B. Drum up some cash and reduce costs like in the next 2, 3, 4 days, or file Chapter 11. Well, they sold their Helios facility. That dramatically changed their financial statements. In my opinion, they're still not great, but they are not imminently going out of business, which is what was happening to them. And that's why they were priced down in the 30s, in my opinion. So I do think that, you know, they're soundly over $1, and I can't see anything going wrong over the next little while with them. But to me, I don't own these guys. I don't think they have a bright future, in my opinion. So obviously, everybody's got a different opinion. Everybody's got a different top 5. These guys are not in my top 5. In fact, they're in my 6. I made a list of 6 a month ago that I was very worried about from a liquidity standpoint. And this was on that list. Now, they've made some major steps to improve their liquidity, so, you know, that helps. But they still have a lot of debt. It's not, you know, they're not out of the woods, in my opinion. Barry is saying we're over 100 viewers again. All right. Thank you, Barry, and congratulations. So let's try and beat that. Let's try and get our all-time record. If everybody could smash the like button, let's try and get a new record on today's live stream, given that this year has been, well, let's go look at what this year has been. This has been a good year so far in Bitcoin. Where's December 31st, January 1st. So yeah, we did this earlier. We're up 35%, and we're 3 weeks into the year. So call it a relief rally. I guess we'll find out later if this is a relief rally or a reversal. It still feels more like a relief rally because really, if you look at this, we just lost all this ground. I mean, we lost this ground 2 months ago due to a seismic event with FTX, and we stayed down there for a while, and now we've recovered back to where we were. Now, today, something new did happen. We took out that number. So we'll see if this was maybe destined to be a bigger relief rally and it got cut short, or, you know, if we're done. But we did hit one of the 2 price targets today, in my opinion. But I'm still optimistic. But where was that spot? The last. Where'd that go? I mean, we did just have one of these where it ran way up and then immediately turned back around and ran down. And we get a lot of these things. I'm not seeing it right now, but here. I mean, this was back in September, but I mean, boom, this was like a 5-day rally, best rally ever, and then gone in like 1 day. So that can happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but certainly at this point, none of us should be surprised by anything that happens to Bitcoin and the Bitcoin miners. And I will also say, we haven't gone through what the miners did today. So I want to go through the miner big board because it was an excellent day, but it was not proportionate to what Bitcoin did today. Bitcoin, let me go back to my, so for those of you familiar with the channel, at the end of every day, I put an orange line when the equity markets close in the US. So this is where Bitcoin was trading when the equity markets close. So in other words, you can't trade the Bitcoin miners after the market closes. Obviously, there's after hours trading, that aside. So this is where we left off. So from yesterday's close until today's close, you know, we were up. This was the close today. So we were up Bitcoin was up 5.6% today. So on a Bitcoin up 5.6% today, you might expect to see some staggering moves in the Bitcoin miners. They should be, in my mind, about a triple on this. So you'd expect to see 15%, but we've already seen days 20%, 30%, 40%, 50% in one day already this year. So we didn't get that kind of action. So even though it was an extremely green day, obviously I'm not going to complain. I'm very happy. Everything's green across the board. There were one or two exceptions. But Cypher was up 16%. Hut was up almost 16% today. So, you know, these near the top of my list, these first 7 are the larger market cap Bitcoin miners. They are not in order by market cap, but these 7, not in this particular order, these are the larger Bitcoin miners from a market cap standpoint. So when you see these at the top of the list, Cypher had a 16% move. Hut had a 15.6% move. Marathon was up just under 10%, 9.95%. They're back over $8. Riot was up 7%. So Riot's the biggest market cap out of all of them, and it was up 7%. Marathon's the second biggest market cap out of all of them, and it was up almost 10%. So those are big, gigantic moves. But you can see Bitcoin had a giant move today. So to me, we could have seen, I think if it was not Friday afternoon, I think people started taking some profits, because your worry in the Bitcoin miners is, okay, we're getting a giant pump at 3 in the afternoon, 1 hour before the market closes on Friday. What if this run happens over the weekend, and then by Monday, it's reversed itself? If you didn't take profits on Friday afternoon, then you risk potentially missing this run. Now, I didn't do that. I'm optimistic that we will keep running, even if there's a little pullback. The momentum seems to be in the right direction. The 4-hour RSI, let's see what it's doing right now. But to me, this tells, actually the MACD. And see, now we did get it. So this just happened. So we've been in the red on the MACD since Sunday the 15th. So you can see we bottomed out, and then we started heading towards, and we got in the end of the last 4-hour candle, because with just a few minutes left in this candle, we still had not gotten a bullish crossover yet. So that happened at the very end of this candle. Now we're at the very beginning of this candle, and it's a green candle. So to me, this is just getting going. So that doesn't mean we're going to run forever, but if you look at the cycle on the 4-hour time frame, to me it looks like we got some room to run up. Now again, maybe that's Saturday and Sunday, and then by Monday morning it busts our chops and goes the other way. But I don't think so. I'm trying to catch up on the chat. Gary's asking, if 13K, why would they curtail at times? Of course, I think that's in response to somebody's cost is 13K. So I don't know. That's following a whole line of people calculating the cost. I will tell you the only cost that I put, and I say right in the video, the truth is we never have up-to-date numbers on this. The last financial statements that came out for every single Bitcoin miner, the absolute latest and greatest was September 30th. So I just do the calculation based on their financial statements, because that's what they actually spent. Whether they say, a lot of people come out and say, oh, our cost is $7,800 per coin. Okay, but then you go to the financial statements and it was $12,000. So that doesn't mean they're lying. That just probably means at peak efficiency, if they were running 100% of the time and they did everything right, their cost would be X. But that's not how reality works out. So I tend to look at what's their real cost. Also, the spot market price for energy changes drastically. So, so there could be times in the day where, it costs 30% more to mine a Bitcoin than if you just shut your machines down for 5 hours and turn them back on later. And some of these companies can sell back to the grid. So they make more money selling the energy back to the grid than they do mining the Bitcoin. And with all but really 2 or 3 of these companies, they're selling all their Bitcoin every month anyway. So it's not like they're hodling it. Marathon is still hodling their Bitcoin, although I've heard several people say that in January they started selling some Bitcoin. So we will see. I haven't verified that personally, but I have heard many, many people say that Marathon has started to sell their Bitcoin. RIOT has not sold any Bitcoin in over 2 years. RIOT does a hybrid. They keep some, sell some, but they still have a big stack of almost 7,000. Hive has maintained a stack. They've started to spend some of theirs and it's dwindled, but they still have a couple thousand as well. Beyond that, really, there's not really anybody else hodling at all. Almost everybody has said we're selling all our Bitcoin to fund operations and growth. So that's where most of the Bitcoin miners are at right now. We're doing good. We got 59 likes. If everybody could please smash the like button. We're getting close to setting our record for viewers on a live stream. So this was a great week. This should be the week we break our record. So anybody who's willing to, if you could please smash the like button, I would appreciate it very much. You can unsmash it later after the stream's over. That way it doesn't have to sit there. But it helps on the live stream. Barry, Tom, did today's run happen because lots of options closing at the end of the week? So I don't know. Options, usually I think options tend to suppress the price. So I don't know what the answer to that is. It's anybody's guess, in my opinion, with these options expirations. But a lot of times, you know, if you're at or near a number, there's a lot of people invested in not going past that number. And with Bitcoin, there's always a max pain number. And I didn't even look this month as to what that number is. So I'm not sure what the answer to that is. Defund the Short said, Mara sells energy back. So I know, so he's saying Mara sells energy back. I know Riot makes a lot of money selling energy back. And particularly when there's a peak or a crisis in Texas, they get paid a top premium amount of money to sell money back to the grid. Who else does? Hive mentioned they made $3 million selling money back to the grid. Mawson, stock ticker MIGI, at this point, they're really more of an energy company. They by far sell more of their energy back to the grid than they do mine Bitcoin. I think they mined 34 Bitcoin last month and got like maybe $3 million selling their energy back to the grid at a rate that was substantially higher than had they mined the Bitcoin and sold the Bitcoin. So good for them. They're one of the people who had to do a massive restructure just to survive, but it looks like they may have found a formula here that's working for them, and they may be able to keep going. Steve, welcome. Go, Hut, go. Yeah, I mean, Hut ran today. Hut's almost back to $2. Hut, I believe, was under $1 at one point. Is this truth? Yeah, 78 cents. So again, in less than 1 month, Hive's had like 146% run up in the last month. So these things have had a huge run up. I will tell you, I'm sorry for the people who missed this run up. All I can say is I'm sorry. If you missed the run up, you probably missed a part of the run down. So hopefully it all worked out in the end. But there seems to be, you know, we're having one of the best months of all time, yet my hate comments are at an all-time high in the comments section. So I feel like a lot of people missed this run and they're angry about it. But that's okay. The next one's coming, and Bitcoin's not done. So, you know, like you didn't miss Bitcoin. Sometimes you miss a run and that happens, but you know, try and take a deep breath and press the reset button, wait for a pullback, and catch the next one. Alex is saying, my thoughts are the miners building exahash now are focused on halving, thinking they will be able to produce more Bitcoin than the ones with less exahash after the halving. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a certain size where you're almost too small to survive the halving. You know, if you're at 2 exahash, I don't know how many Bitcoin you're going to be mining after the halving. It's going to be, because by then the difficulty rate will be up substantially in all likelihood. That's not a guarantee. That depends on what the Bitcoin miners do. But certainly at the halving, the reward gets cut in half. So my guess is people that are at 1 or 2 or 3 are really not going to be worth we probably won't be following them on this channel anymore because they'll be so small in comparisons to, we'll know who made it to the other side when we get there. So, and that goes back to the CleanSpark question. Yes, that's why they are off to the races. They want to get to 16 exahash this year. I think that's probably too much, but I don't, I'm not a part of their decision-making process, so they've got more information than I do, and they seem to feel comfortable shooting for that, and it will pay off, particularly after the halving, because the halving is going to put a lot of these guys out. So let's see. Raul, if the number of likes and views shows how Bitcoin is and will perform, then looking good. Yeah, exactly. And I do think, that's just the reality. People, when things are going poorly, retail investors tend to check out. People watch a lot less YouTube. I think we've all been there in a moment where it's like, I don't even want to look. Just, I'll watch a movie instead. So I get it. But yeah, I think right now there's a lot of energy. A lot of people are coming back into the market. 70 likes. I appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for the likes. That's helping a lot. Also, if you want to, you can. I'm going to put in the... Hold on. I should have... Okay, I just put a link in the chat. If you want to become a member, you're welcome to become a member. You can hit the link in the chat, or you can just hit the join button on YouTube. We have an awesome group in our members group. We do a live stream every Tuesday after the market closes. It's members only. They pick a stock on that live stream. We get to talk about everything else under the sun, and we get to have a little more candid conversation. But in addition to that, we pick a stock, we do a vote and pick a stock every week, and then I do a deep dive for the members. And we have been on a roll, in my opinion. The stocks that, and that's not me. I just do the deep dive and do a video. I'm not picking the stocks. So that is thanks to all the members for picking, so far, I think, all extremely interesting stocks. Very much, they're all on my watch list. I'm not saying I've bought them all, but so far, it's been great stuff. Carl, I'm guessing Mara's share count is about 125 to 130 million. Then he's saying we'll find out in the 10K. So yeah, they don't seem to be doing massive diluting. They've been pretty reasonable about their dilution over time. So we'll see in the next one. Defund the Short says, I think Bitfarms is the most shorted. So if that's true, at some point, I feel like we maybe already got a little short squeeze because Bitfarms is another one. Let's go to Bitfarms. Hold on. Let's get out of there. We don't care about that. So this is less than a month ago on December 30th, so 3 weeks ago. So Bitfarms is up over 200% in the last 3 weeks. Now, counterpoint that I've been given in my comments at length, so you don't have to tell me again. I know all this does is really get them right back to where they were back in October. And if we zoom out on this, and trust me, I know this because I am down. My cost basis in Bitfarms is way higher than $1.15. This was at $2.33 just back in August, and even that is low. You go back to the peak. This was a $9 or $10 stock, So this was $9.36 back in November of 2021. So obviously that's when Bitcoin hit its peak. So for all that 200% run up we just had, in order to get back to where we were, we would still have to run up another 700%. So that's not even a price target for me. Yeah, that's a long-term price target for me, but obviously that's not even worth looking at. It looks like the next line is maybe $1.50. We hit that back in September. So, that's the next thing I'll be looking for in Bitfarms. I have not sold any of my Bitfarms. I've been dollar cost averaging in for a long time. So I'm just going to hold on. But that's just that's what I'm doing. You guys got to do you. It says, LOL, Tom gets hate comments. That's crazy. All the work he does, and we just listen. Thanks, Tom. You're welcome, Ed, and thank you, Ed. And yes, I do get... I don't know why people are so angry. I don't know. Some people are just angry. So if they want to... If that makes them feel better to leave me a nasty comment, so be it.
What? I missed all the excitement?
You missed the whole thing. We were just... And there's no way we could relive what we just went through.
Really? Don't do it then.
No, I'm only kidding. My opinion is that Bitcoin will be a true bull run when the rate hikes are paused. That was from Austin. So that's for sure. That's a giant catalyst out there, not only for Bitcoin, but the entire market. At some point this year, you know, unless something absolutely bizarre happens, the Fed is going to be forced to reverse course. And that is the most bullish thing that can happen to Bitcoin and the market by far, because you'll notice, I mean, the market tanked right along. Don't fight the Fed. I didn't believe that was as powerful as it is. The Fed dictated the price action over the last 10 months. Austin
Tom,
saying,
you know what I have to say?
Go. What do you have to say?
How you doing?
I'm doing... this was a good week. This is a good week.
I'm very happy. I'm just happy I'm not down any. That's all I care about. I don't even care about the up. I went up like almost $20,000, and then I looked like an hour later, and it's down 8. Like, but then it came back, so we're all good, right?
That's right.
How it works.
It came back, and I'm hoping there's more to come. So I don't know. But
yeah, the more popular and well, you know what's funny, Tom?
What?
You think Bitcoin's going up, and I still think Bitcoin's going down.
You do, but you do think there's a little bit. You think there's $1,000 left in this run.
Oh yeah, absolutely, just definitely.
So
let me tell you why. It's because of the Fibonacci. If you look at the Fibonacci, okay,
that's the number one reason. It's all Fibonacci. So the truth is, your price target could happen over the weekend and start going down, and we could be on the downswing if your theory plays out. By the time Monday hits, this could be over.
Doesn't it always seem like that? It seems like every weekend we have a great weekend, and then bam, Monday come and they smack us right where it hurts.
There is no doubt. The timing is uncanny. It's too much to be a coincidence. All too many times stuff correlates with the open and close of the market.
I'm changing my mind. I thought the Fed was going to go up 0.5, but I think it might only go up 0.25 now. I'm going with everybody else.
Well, I mean, that is vast consensus.
It isn't any of the reasons why people probably think.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking it's all a distraction from the boogeyman that's sitting in the room.
Who's the boogeyman? What's the boogeyman?
I don't know, but he's a boogeyman.
Alex is saying, Tom and George, I don't know what he's saying, so yeah, I got to scroll. Tom and George, you both should agree the more popular your channel becomes, the more haters and jealous comments surface. Ignore, keep moving forward. Thank you, Alex. Yes, I try to take it with a grain of salt. Usually we laugh about it. I mean, I think most of the people that leave hate comments didn't even really watch the video because, like, a lot of times they agree with what I'm saying in the video. They just maybe see the thumbnail and they're, I don't know.
Yeah, it's your clickbait, boomer.
It's, once again, not a boomer. Not that there's anything wrong with that. All generations are welcome, except Gen Z. I'm not even sure which one that is. No, I'm only kidding. All generations are welcome, of course. We tend to get according to YouTube, we tend to be the 35 and above males.
Really?
So
I thought it was the ladies.
Yeah, we're surging. We're surging
Hello,
with
ladies.
women. We're up to 5% in our most
Tom's
recent
available,
statistics.
just so you know, ladies.
There was a while where statistically it was showing 0% female viewers. Pardon all my pronouns and adjectives. I'm old enough I get to say male, female, man, woman, So, there, I said it.
You're such a... I won't say it.
You're going to call me a boomer again, aren't you?
Yeah, I really was. I was going to do it.
Manuel's saying, hey, Tom, did you hear Ben Gagnon this week? I did not. What did he say? Life said, I might start hating on you if you start promoting altcoins.
Oh, well, actually, I didn't want to promote them. I wanted to go through them because I think the crypto system, you got to know them. You got to understand. You know what I mean? Don't you? Or do you think it's a waste of time because Bitcoin just has so much dominance?
I think there's a lot of projects that have already gained a lot of, they have a use case, they've gained some acceptance, and you know, if we're going to know the space, we should know the space. So I think it's a journey worth going on. It doesn't mean I'm going all in on altcoins by any stretch of the imagination, but I've said all along, I think there will be winners. I mean, Bitcoin, obviously, I have the highest level of conviction in by far, but there will be other winners. I don't think there's going to be one coin when this is done. I'm not Jamie Dimon.
Why do you think ETH really did what they did, Tom?
They're not done doing what they did. They've only done, that was one of, I think, 4 or 5 major changes in their coding that they have coming. Remember, it was the merge, the splurge, the urge, it was 5 of them, and they all rhymed. Yeah, and they're all, this was actually just a small step. Everybody thinks this was the finish line. This was one of, I can't remember if it's 4 or 5 major adjustments they're going to make to Ethereum to try to get it to do what they want it to do in an affordable, effective way and secure. So I'm not convinced that's the best way to go, but I'm by no means an expert. But it is. It's the, come on, you remember, I showed you this chart. It was the merge, the purge, the splurge. These are all real. You guys probably think I'm joking. I'm being 100%. This was the merge. There's 4 more. The splurge is coming. The purge is coming. They're all, this is a real thing. I'm looking it up because you guys are probably out there thinking it's, this is not, hey-oh. This is not a George situation.
What?
Oh, I think I got my buttons mixed up. Oh, now it's all good buttons. There's no more George button, only the good George button.
Oh, you're too funny. Tom, I have a question. Did you answer that person? Are you a full-time big YouTuber?
I mean, I'm full-time in the stock market all day, so I guess you could call me a full-time YouTuber because, yeah, I'm doing content nonstop.
Oh,
it takes
man,
longer than you think. It's surprising. I'm surprised.
What?
How much time it takes if you really want to do a good job and read everybody's comments and, you know, interact and have a good crew. I mean, we have such a... We're very, very lucky. Thank you again to everybody who's a member. We have an outstanding group of members, and, you know, we keep getting a lot of good recommendations, and that's a part of the way I found a lot of good stocks from my members. So it's a two-way
like
street,
Smurf?
you know? Like Smurf is one of them. You want to see what Smurf did today? Okay, now let's go like this and expand and see if we can get to... The Purge includes several upgrades to remove old network history. Beyond the merge, the surge, the verge, the purge, and the splurge.
Oh
you guys thought I was making this up. The merge was just step 1. We have only just begun our Ethereum rewriting. So
why do you think they would do all that? You know what's crazy?
What's crazy?
I was just thinking about this. They just said that they're getting rid of the history of the transactions of Ethereum, didn't they?
I don't know. I would strongly recommend against that. Isn't that the whole point?
Yeah, but it just sounded like they said that.
What, in the Purge?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what the Purge is.
Well, what else does the Purge mean?
I don't know.
I mean, it sounds like they're trying. Oh wow.
I don't know. You and I read. You don't remember, but we read through each one of these like 3 or 4 or 5. Time flies. It was a long. It was back in September, I think.
Yeah, it was seems
But
like it was a minute
the
ago.
surge. So that's it. So for those of you who want to know, for those Ethereum lovers, you might already know, we did the merge. Next, we're going to do the surge. Then we're going to be on the verge. Then we're going to do the purge. And then finally, we're going to splurge. So that is our Ethereum journey. It has only just begun. If you want to know more about Ethereum, see Stockmo.
Yeah, he loves. Why do you think he loves? Wow.
He's not alone. He's not alone. I say that jokingly, but I like Stockmo. We've talked about him before. I very rarely get to watch his stuff anymore because unfortunately, being a YouTuber, I hardly get to watch YouTube anymore. But
Jeff, did you see Jeff's rip on you? Only 12.5k subs.
Hey, sorry, Jeff. Only you guys can change that. I can't get subs, and our subs are real. So we did not do the go out and buy 50,000 subs, which you can do. So I find no value in that. The people we have are awesome, and I'd like to keep it that way. So if it's 12,500, if it's whatever it is, I appreciate all of you.
Yeah, it's funny though because Tom keeps track of his views, and like he'll look at larger channels, and it's like, how do they get no views?
That's the thing. That's why I appreciate our subscribers, however many there are. They tune in and view. We get views like we are a 50,000 or 75,000 channel. So I appreciate. I know I say that all the time, and you guys probably think it's just a habit for me to say it, but I really do. And I've talked to George about it, and I appreciate our subscribers we have the best subscribers, period, in the whole investment space, if not the internet, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm sure there's other people who feel the same way, but we really do have an awesome, awesome subscriber base and an awesome membership base. So much appreciated.
So anyways, lastly but not leastly, here's my question.
Yes.
Where does it stop?
Where does Bitcoin stop?
Yeah, where does it stop right now?
Where it stops, nobody knows.
time
It's
you
still.
called
Oh man, I wasn't on the screen. Look, we have now broken out again.
I didn't mean that person isn't. I'm
What?
sorry. Go to Bitcoin. Well, it's because it seems like it should be an R next to your
Did you
name,
look at
by
this?
the way.
Did you look at the screen?
Like Charmaine, not Charmaine. Does that make sense?
I don't know what you're talking about, but I think if I read the chat, maybe I will. I'm looking at Bitcoin go ballistic as we're standing here. So
Well, I just I've been buying and selling this whole time.
we just had a comment. Austin's asking Bitcoin to 23K this weekend, and since he asked that, we just ran up to we're at 22,600, over 22,600. Where did we get at the peak? And this is all within the last 2 minutes. We got to 22,739 within just the last 2 minutes. So we're pulling back a little bit right now. We'll see where it goes from there.
Where do you think it's going to go to, Tom? I said mine 23.5. What are you thinking?
My next price target is 25, and I hold out hope that
really?
we get to, to me, we could get all the way to 25, and this would still be, in my opinion, this would still be a relief rally, albeit an outstanding relief rally, but we got down to an unnatural place, in my opinion. So 25 to me would be the stretching the end of what would be a relief rally. If we go past that, then we have to start having a serious conversation that we have had a reversal and we're in a potential bull market. But I'm not calling that. I don't think that's what the first half of 2023 is about. I think it's going to be about volatility. We've seen, I mean, what have we talked about every day? We've looked at the big board. I'm going to show some of them because I cut and paste at the end of every day to save them. There have been moves that are astronomical. We just looked. There's 2 or 3 Bitcoin miners that have had 3 or 4 or 500% moves. I mean, you're lucky to catch the right option to get that kind of move. The stocks are doing that in 3 or 4 weeks. So this has been wild. Gary's saying the reverse Kramer. That's right. You know, it was like the day Kramer came out and said, sell all your Bitcoin, get out now while you can. Like, it has gone through the roof since that day. All right, I'm just trying to catch up when you see me disappear for a second. Let's see. Space Oddity. Bitcoin will stop on Monday when the Fed does something or says something that the market doesn't like. So, I mean, that's the Fed does like to do that. So that would be no surprise. I just hope it doesn't stop before the bell rings Monday morning, because I will, if this run continues and we're up like this on Monday, I will take some more profits on Monday. So,
would you sell after hours if you could, or no, you wouldn't?
I'm not selling my shares, so I can't sell after hours. I'm not selling my shares, but I still have options. A lot of times when I sell my options to get out of them, I'll take, 10 or 15% of that money and buy more options just in case the run keeps going. So I still have reinvested profits, and they're only profits on that particular transaction. I'm not in the green by any stretch of the imagination, but the last 3 weeks have been very good to me. So I still have some money at risk in options. Some of those options are still out, many months from now, so I'm not worried about those. But I did put a little bit of money into short-term options, and that's that little bit I'm talking about out of my profits, just in case we keep running. Darren's giving me rocket ships to the moon. QWERTY, hello. Oh, and hello, Space Oddity and QWERTY. Welcome. I don't know if you guys have been here for a while or not. Shaman, thanks, George. Accept that explanation. You and Shaman must have had a conversation that I was not privy to.
You were. You just didn't realize it.
Was it about me?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm not paranoid or anything. I'm just saying. There's a lot of crypto hedge funds. This is Andrew. There's a lot of crypto hedge funds that have money on the sidelines that need to get back into the market. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what happens. That's why I think there's a lot more volatility ahead. Manuel saying, Ben was with Michael Saylor this week. Bitcoin mining conference. All right. Well, I bet you Michael Saylor, you want to know who had a good week? Michael Saylor had a good week. That is for sure. Righteous Lion is asking, do you think HUT 8 can double from here? So, I mean, for me, my price target is much higher than a double for HUT 8. But, having said that, I have a long-term price target. So, not financial advice. You got to make up your own decision. If HUT, let's call it $2. Doubling is only $4. It was $16 a year ago. So I think they've got to make a move. That's the thing with HUT. They have been able to hodl all their Bitcoin through this whole entire thing, but they need to make a move. They went into hibernation for the crypto winter. They saw that coming, but at some point they got to come out of hibernation and start doing their thing again. And then they can have another run, in my opinion. So, and they're running right along. I mean, look, they were up 15.66% today. So, it's not like they're not participating in this run.
Is GBTC still a goodbye time, or do you not think so?
Is what?
GBTC.
Is that? I do know that their discount increased again. So
it did increase again?
Because of the whole Genesis situation, they're, in my opinion, they're not related to that, but they are related in that they're a related company. But it is a trust, so, that's a whole nother conversation. But as a result of the Genesis situation over the last 24 hours, the GBTC fund discount, I think it went to back to 42% discount maybe.
Oh, really?
So, it had gotten all the way up to just about 50 at one point. Then it got back down to 35, and now it's running a little bit again. So I don't know where it goes from here. If you're here, if you would be so kind, if you're not already a member, if you could subscribe to the channel. Last time we got over 100 viewers, we got 4 new subscribers. So the person who said, why do you only have 12,500 subscribers? That's why. So, but obviously,
I'm figuring out the Fibonacci right now.
All right, I'll let you do the math on that. Sour Melon Gaming, everybody put your space suits on. All right, I just got lost. I got to catch back up. Barry's asking 10K to 100K, another good week. Yes, another good week. And I did put 2 videos together that I think I'm going to put out, at least one of them this weekend. I want to summarize what happened last year and then talk about what's happened this year. So the 10K challenge continues. And this was an outstanding week. And I did for the first time in months and months, I did make a few moves because things have run. You know, you guys see what's happened here. So in the 10K challenge, we have Bitfarms, Hut 8, and Cleanspark. So to put it in perspective, like, you know, we got destroyed last year, and that's not all we have. You know, we have several stocks in there, but we do have 3 Bitcoin miners, and those got killed last year, and they're on fire so far this year. So we'll see what happens. QWERTY said, I came in late. Great to be here. Glad to have you here. Welcome. Space Oddity Kramer has been screaming to sell everything crypto recently, just as Bitcoin pumped hard. Yeah, like it's like clockwork. It's almost even hard to believe. Logan's asking, do I have MicroStrategy shares yet? No, I feel like I missed my window on MicroStrategy. I mean, I expect they're going to run up a lot, but they had... How come they're not showing up on my list? I got to do this. Right, they're back to $240.
Don't follow my gut. Should I buy more CleanSpark right now? Let's see what it's at.
I don't know why you buy after hours, but you do what you do.
It's only 2.
I'm on the 15-minute.
Why is it last week? Bitcoin was $1,000 basically lower, and Bitcoin in CleanSpark the price was so much more active than what it is now.
CleanSpark was a lagger this week, period. It just, for, some people in here quoted some of the reasons. You quoted some of them. There's some people still won't buy this stock because of management compensation. So you brought that up yourself. That is going to change over time. There's still a lot of people mad about the microgrid part of their company that they, phased out of. They're suing them over that, and people are angry over that. There's a lot of angry people in the world. That's all I can tell you. But, CleanSpark, all in all, CleanSpark hasn't participated as much in this most recent run. But remember, in 2022, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, they were down 79%, which sounds awful. That was actually the best out of all of the Bitcoin miners. And the vast majority of them were down between 90 and 99% just on the year in 2022. So, these things had to make a run just to catch up to where CleanSpark already was. It's crazy. I mean, you don't see that in an industry. This is some bizarre... We could trade, for the rest of our natural lives and maybe never see an entire industry have this type of a... Although I do have another industry that I think is 2022 Bitcoin. The Bitcoin miners hit bottom, in my opinion. And I'm just going to say right now, and then I'm going to do more videos. And let me know if you guys are following any EV stocks and, of any kind. I have a list of about 20 EV stocks. They got beat up very badly last year, but I think 2023 is the year they're going to get taken out. So... Whereas I think Bitcoin miners have turned the corner and they're going to head up as time goes by, even in a very volatile way. Wow. I think the EV stocks I won't say it's just begun because they've gotten hit pretty hard, but I think there's a lot of them, unlike Bitcoin, We had one company go Chapter 11. All these companies still remain. We've already had three companies on my EV watch list disappear, and I think there's 5 or 6 more that are going to disappear in 2023. So, let me know if any of you guys are interested in that sector. A lot of small cap, some large cap. Just for information points.
Big stuff going on with the moon. I'm going to give it to you guys here in a second.
I
want to thank JD for this information.
We got some moon calculations coming at you.
We got some moon calculations. This is awesome.
MicroStrategy.
Thank you for reminding me. This is awesome, dude. He didn't say anything. He was like, George, he was picking on Charmaine. I think that's right. I think it's Charmaine. That's probably how I did. And he was saying, he goes something about what George follows the moon for his prediction. And I will tell you that it was 100% wrong, this last prediction, by the way. 100%. But it seems to do that every, 9 or 10. It seems to be that they flip.
You win some, you lose some.
That are bad, right. But let me tell you about the moon. Are you ready for me to tell you about the moon, Tom?
The moon, go.
January 21, 2023, the new moon.
That's tomorrow.
Will be precisely 221,561 miles from Earth.
Is that a Fibonacci number?
Yes, that's the closest it's come to our planet since the...
No way.
Yes. A time
in 1,000. That's the closest it's come to our planet in 1,000 years.
Yes, in 1,000 years.
That is absolutely incredible.
Symbols something called the Dark Ages. So we could be having this ultimate supermoon. Also signals the beginning of the Chinese Lunar New Year's. This is interesting.
This is a once in 1,000 year event, so I'm calling it Bitcoin 30,000.
Yeah. Wow, that's
yeah, that's wild. That doesn't happen very often.
Every
once in 1,000 years.
You can tell your kids about the day 20, and then there was something in the Northeast also with some type of weather event.
I mean, how many miles of fluctuation are we talking here? Is it 10 miles closer, which is immaterial, or is it substantially closer?
I have no idea. It just makes me wonder how they got to the moon if it was 221,000 miles away.
By the way, how did they know where the moon was 1,000 years ago?
They didn't know where it was 1,000 years ago.
Well, if this is the closest it's been in 1,000 years, that means they know where it was 1,000 years ago.
Tom, they have all this. They've been using the computer for a long, long time.
Science. Okay. We'll call it science and call it even. Gorilla's saying 25K this weekend is possible. Yes.
That's huge, dude.
And then Barry's saying 25K in an hour is possible the way we're going right now. Let's get back to the
22,614. And isn't it interesting? Who just had a big smile on his face and complained about Bitcoin yesterday? Anyone?
Who?
I find that interesting. I'm not saying his name.
Yeah, you're not only that, you're dropping the mic and walking out.
Well, I gotta go to the bathroom, and I didn't want to tell anybody. But thanks.
That's much appreciated.
Moon River.
Alex is asking, will businesses return to a 5-day in the office work week? Are we done with working from home? Perhaps poll time. Are we done with working? I think a lot of companies are starting to draw the line and saying you got to get back to work. At the same time, that reminds me, Alex, I wanted to talk about...
By the way, I don't think this is, I hate to say the new normal, but this is. No one's going back to the office.
Oh, you don't think so? George thinks we're not going back to a 5-day work week.
Here's a great example. I had a guy that works for me, right? And he goes to the office and he rates my estimates and we're really, really far behind. And I said to him, dude, stay home. He goes, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, you stay home. That's 2 extra hours you can work instead of driving back and forth.
Oh, yeah. Cut out the commute. That's true.
Yeah, I mean that commute. I never thought about it because, I mean, we did 60, 65, 70 hours a week, and we just were like that was normal. I worked at a company when I got out of college called Enterprise Rent-A-Car.
I believe people are
I don't know if
probably
anybody's
familiar
heard of
with that company.
Yes, I did.
I
That was
imagine.
my claim to fame. I don't know that person that you're writing in there. I don't think he said anything about it. Everybody's saying his name. The person who said Bitcoin's going to zero. He said, and I'm going to
I
quote
must be
somebody.
behind. All right. Yep.
I'm going to quote somebody, but I'm not going to tell you his name. Well, how do you know that when the 21 million's produced, that this what was his name? Nakashimi or whatever his name is? The Bitcoin developer
I
dude?
could have told you before you just said either of those words.
It's something with N-A-K. No.
Satoshi.
No, Natoshi. Notoshi's going to come and he's going to make more coins. And I was just like, I guess he never read the white pages on Bitcoin.
He said, how do you know? And he said this, and I mean, if you guys didn't watch my video, I did a video on this, and you can go to Twitter on CNBC, and they have it on their, or at least they had it on their Twitter page. He said, no, you think it's going to be 21 million? What if Satoshi's face just pops out at 21 million and laughs at you and starts producing more Bitcoin? It's like, it's hard to take.
Hang on a second. If he's still alive in 2140, when is it going to be done?
We don't know if that's even a person, for starters. Is it a person? Is it a group? Is it who knows? But I know this.
How many years is that, though, from now?
The Bitcoin is, they see it's open code, so there's no hidden trap door where Satoshi's face pops out. Oh, by the way, the last Bitcoin doesn't get mined for another 140 years. I think
that's
maybe
why I said if he does do that, I thought that 140 years from now, if he pops out,
yeah, then
monkeys are gonna fly out of my butt. Yeah. Sorry. No, but that's what people don't realize, that's what we're up against, you know. And think about it. How many people ran with that article yesterday, and FOMO out because of when it's going down? What is it considered? FUD. So and listen to his FUD.
Oh yeah. So Barry, just to clarify, you're saying he said Bitcoin but not crypto. He said he believes in blockchain technology. So he said not blockchain, but he does think the entire crypto universe is going to zero. That's what he said.
What?
Yes.
That could be the...
So he likes blockchain technology, and they tried to explain to him that Bitcoin is blockchain technology, and he did not want to hear about it.
That's insane, dude.
He has always hated Bitcoin. I mean, publicly. I don't know how he feels about it at home. He might have a wallet with 50,000 Bitcoin in it for all I know. But publicly, he has been a non-believer, even though his firm, I mean, he's the CEO of the largest financial institution in the United States, one of the largest in the world. And they have started to adopt Bitcoin, so they're using it, but, you know, I don't think he's happy about it.
And didn't some investment company just start pitching Bitcoin?
Some investment company?
Yes.
I don't know. I mean, there's continued adoption, so, I mean, let me know who you're talking about. But yeah, every day somebody new adopts Bitcoin. In January 2009, I was working at a pizza place in Berkeley, and a kid walked in wanting to sell 10,000 Bitcoin for $10 worth of pizza. True story. That was Matthew.
Did you buy them? That's the question, Matt. Did you buy them?
Those poor people. I feel terrible for people who had, 1,000 or 10,000 Bitcoin or 100,000 Bitcoin in their possession and bought a pizza. Or, one poor guy I remember, and he made a big deal, and it was to prove a point that Bitcoin has use. He took a trip across the country, and he bought everything in Bitcoin. And my guess is, because that was 6 or 7 years ago, he probably spent what's now, he probably spent $1 million driving across the country. Who knows? Maybe more.
Well, at least you guys didn't know somebody that you really respected financially, and you called them up about their opinion. I think it was like the first week it was out.
Now we all know what a Bitcoin is, so I guess that's the irony. Now all I do is talk about Bitcoin.